The Gospel of Mark describes a situation where the disciples started plucking the heads of grain on the Sabbath. Seeing this, the Pharisees were indignant and said to Jesus, "Look, why do they do what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" But Jesus said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he was in need and hungry, he and those with him? How he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the showbread, which is not lawful to eat except for the priests, and also gave some to those who were with him. And he said to them, The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath." However, the original story described in the first book Samuel mentions a different priest called Ahimelech instead of Abiathar. So did Jesus make a mistake by mentioning Abiathar as the high priest instead of Ahimelech? Or did Mark get it wrong and therefore made a mistake when writing the gospel? The answer lies in understanding the meaning behind Jesus' answer. Abiathar is in fact the son of Ahimelech, and he became the high priest after the murder of his father by King Saul. Also, Abiathar was indeed present in the house, as he was a priest and his father was the high priest during the story of David and his men eating from the showbread. Jesus mentions the highest position Abiathar had reached, which is the position known to everyone at that time, the high priest. However, if we go back to the most recent script of the original text of the Gospel of Mark, we will find the translation of Jesus' claim as follows: "Have you never read what David did when he was in need and hungry, he and those with him? How he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar, who became the high priest, and ate the showbread, which is not lawful to eat except for the priests, and also gave some to those who were with him." It is clear from the original text translation that Jesus knew that Abiathar was a priest at the time of this story, but became a high priest later, so neither Jesus nor Mark made a mistake. But why did Jesus mention Abiathar even though the Old Testament mentions Ahimelech instead? Jesus mentioned Abiathar in particular because the Pharisees' opposition to Jesus resembled Abiathar's opposition to the anointed King Solomon. When Solomon took reign over Israel, Abiathar chose to oppose God's anointed king and support Adonijah instead, and therefore Solomon expelled Abiathar from the priesthood. Jesus was warning the Pharisees that their priesthood will be rejected similar to Abiathar if they insist on opposing God's anointed Messiah, who is Jesus himself. Therefore, Abiathar represents the end of an old priesthood, which vanishes with the coming of God's anointed successor to David, our Lord Jesus Christ.